Guess what, you guys? It's demo day. We are going to ungarden today. We are going to pull out all of the garden. We're pulling out the garden. It's going to go. We're going. It's time. We're moving on. I am going to be filming my husband and I pulling out the entire vegetable garden. I'm going to be pulling out all my flower beds. Everything's got to go. It's like a clearance sale. It's demo day. Let's do this. Here's a quick look at the pre-demo garden. I do have a few squash and tomatoes hidden up in here that I'll be trying to harvest real quick as we go. But otherwise, everything is going. It has been raining for days, so everything is soaking wet. So that's gonna be real fun, real fun part of this. I'm also going to be pulling out quite a few of my flower beds if I have the time and energy as well. So let's get going. We're going to start with the garden beds. We're going to get rid of all these squishy tomatoes, all of this stuff that's not going to come ripe. It's time, you guys. It's time to say goodbye to the garden for the season. It's a bittersweet moment, but I know I'll be glad when all of this is gone and the space is all cleared out. So let's hit it. The first crop we're going to pull out is the green beans. I had a really great harvest of my green beans this year and had them growing on several different trellises. It was nice to be able to get several harvests of my green beans, and I got quite a few in the freezer in freezer bags so we can enjoy them all winter long. Other things I had in this bed were some acorn squash, some peppers, and even some purple basil, but all of it's going today. Next was the squash. I was able to harvest just a couple zucchinis as I was pulling out these zucchini plants. It's amazing that this late in the season I was still able to harvest. So one thing I did this year is planted tomatoes in the middle of my garden beds, and I will not be repeating that next year. They really just took over, and honestly, nobody needs this many tomatoes, so I definitely will not be planting as many tomatoes next year. So this is the type of tomato cage I like to use. It's really big and sturdy. You could see my husband pulling it out in this scene. Oh, it's all rotten kind of. Harvested this, but it's all kind of rotten and gross. You can see the rain really started to pick up at this point, but we still had one giant tomato plant to get rid of, and this was actually my Sun Gold cherry tomato. So if you're wondering how big a cherry tomato can get, here you go. Now you can bet next spring I'm going to have a lot of tomato volunteers that are going to come up in these beds. I mean, it's just impossible to get every single little cherry tomato out of here. With the bigger tomatoes, it's a little easier, but I'm definitely going to be pulling a lot of volunteers in the spring. If you do like cherry tomatoes, the Sun Gold variety is my absolute favorite. My kids and I love it. Unfortunately, my husband doesn't eat tomatoes, but he does get to help me pull them all out at the end of the season. All right, well, it's raining pretty hard, so I'm trying not to have my phone in the rain too much, but here's the official after shot of Max. Max has gotten a mud makeover. Max, you're just a little muddy. It's just is what it is. Yeah, looks pretty great. We've got Corey's truck loaded up. Back at the truck, we've got the yard debris full. We've got lots of tomato volunteers probably going to come up next year.
Trying to get rid of a plethora of mini tomatoes.
Those little cherry tomatoes that are all over, and it's just, but I'm really excited. It looks great. It's nice to have that all gone. So next up are these garden beds. You can see my zinnias are still looking pretty awesome, but I know they're not going to be awesome for very much longer, and we're just going to get it all cleaned up. So this is going to be the next area that we're going to pull out. So, bye zinnias. You've been fun. Part of me wants to get out here and clip some of these, and part of me is just kind of done with them. So I think we're just gonna pull them all out of here. Okay, how amazing is it that one seed can make that? One zinnia seed. Isn't that just like incredible? It just gets me every time. So cool. Oop. All right, in it goes. All gone. Okay, all cleared out. It's nice to have those all cleared out. So this week, my plan is to start planting some bulbs in these beds. I have noticed that the soil level went down quite a bit this year, this summer, but that's okay. I don't think I'll be adding any more soil. I think I'm just gonna go for it and put my tulips and my daffodils in here. So this is going to be one of the areas I grow some spring flowers. My business is these snapdragons. This is going to be a little complicated because I have all these posts and I have some flower netting in there. And then these zinnias are going to go. These zinnias are going to go. I love this. Actually, it was this one. I thought it was so cool. Look at that. And these snapdragons are going to go. So all the stuff over here. Demo day, demo day, demo day. So last year I grew snapdragons without all of this flower netting and support, and I have to say this year they grew a lot straighter and they were much easier to use for cut flower arrangements. So I think I definitely will be using some supports for my snapdragons next year. In two of these beds in the spring, I actually grew peas, shelling peas, and they were really delicious, and I have a freezer full of peas. And then I turned the beds and grew zinnias in these two beds, and it worked out really well. It's always bittersweet to say goodbye to the garden in the late fall season, but it's definitely one of those things that's kind of also refreshing. It's, gardening is cyclical, right? It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And it's kind of nice to know that I'm gearing up for kind of the quiet season of gardening where I can order seeds and, work on seed starting and maybe not so much actual physical labor in the garden. I got pretty distracted at this point and started staking up these evergreens and cutting back some of these hanging baskets while Corey was finishing up the last garden bed. All right, guys, well, we are finished for the day. You can see the garden is totally cleaned out and gone. It is still raining. We were rained on pretty much the entire time, but we got it done. And then on this side, the tall garden beds are all cleaned out as well, and I can't wait to get in here and plant up my tulips. It's going to be really, really good. And then over here, things are still, like, I have a lot to do still as far as like my in-ground garden beds, but we did get these raised garden beds all cleaned out as well. And I gave them a nice good like hose off because they were pretty muddy. But yeah, everything is cleared out, and it's really nice to have this project done and complete. I'm excited to plant bulbs. That's definitely next on my list, but you can see I definitely have a lot more to do. All my dahlias here, I'm gonna try to dig the tubers. If I can, I gotta pull out all of this stuff. There's a lot, right? Like my hosta's all done, this hosta's done. I need to cut things back for this season. So the in-ground garden beds are going to be totally for another day. One thing we did get done about a week ago, Corey got in here and pulled out all of that bear's britches that I hated back here. So that is done, but it's just crazy to see how much like stuff is still blooming and doing pretty well. I mean, we have not had a hard frost yet. I also wanted to show you my blueberry bushes. Aren't they beautiful? I love them this time of year. I think the color is just so, I mean, it's so vibrant. Look at that. It's the same color as my chair, my little plastic Adirondack chair, but I just had to share that with you. I think it's just so pretty right now. So I'm really loving that. But anyway, it's all cleaned out and cleared out. I'm slowly putting things in the greenhouse and trying to winterize. But yeah, the in-ground garden beds like this one over here too, I've got to pull all this, well, not pull it, but, you know, cut it all back. I've got to try to dig my dahlia tubers if I want to save them. This hydrangea is looking really pretty right now. The leaves are all turning, the color of the leaves. And I've been slowly, you know, winterizing and putting things in the greenhouse. Also probably need to clear out my green stock because it's pretty much done. Everything's pretty much done for this season. But I'm really glad that we were able to get those garden beds cleaned out today, and it feels really good to have them done. The next one that I need to clean out is this one, and I've got some lantana in here I'd like to try to save. I love the way that this looks though, and I just can't bring myself to do it quite yet. But once we get a frost, I will get out here and clean this out, and I'm thinking about doing bulbs in here as well. I'm wondering if this lantana might survive in the ground, but I don't think it will. But we'll see. We'll see. I might leave that one, but it'd be fun to have some more spring bulbs in there. All right, gardeners. Well, that's going to be it for this video. I went inside and warmed up and had a little cup of coffee and tried to get a second wind. I have a couple other things I want to do out here, but that was a lot of work this morning that we did pulling out all the garden beds. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, ring the bell, and subscribe to my channel. And if you need me, I'll be hanging out in my Oregon yard doing some gardening. See you next time. Bye.